I met some great people at the 4th Annual Surf Film Festival. Few people know that actor Don Stroud, who played the kahuna in one of the Gidget TV series, actually grew up in Hawaii and learned to surf at Waikiki. Let's listen to him talk about the good old days.
Okay, well, I started surfing when I was about 11 years old at Waikiki with Rabbit Kai and Blue Makua and Mud Warner and Buckshot and Coco and Dookie, all the famous beach boys. When I came from the beach for the old days, there was just the Royal Hawaiian, the Moana, and the Surf Rider. We'd surf canoes in Queens and Populars and Castles. We'd go down to Ala Moana before the Hawaiian Village. We used to paddle down there and surf over there. Donald Takayama, me, Wayne Miata, Boogie, some really great surfers. And then we'd surf Makaha a lot of times. I was riding a Hobie then, a 9.6 Hobie. In our day, it was mostly 9.6 Hobies, Velzy, Jacobs. They had some really nice boards, but it was before leash, way before wetsuits, and of course that was Hawaiian style. I never forget the first time I went up to the mainland and had to put on a wetsuit. It was so embarrassing for me, but it was Rincon. The water was about 50 degrees, and I loved Rincon. I moved up there to Santa Barbara for a while. The surf was so good. But there's some good spots in California, but Hawaii is so hard to beat. When we started surfing, Sunset Beach was my favorite place. Sunset Beach, 12 to 15, someplace around there, because nobody surfed the pipe in those days. The pipe was there, but nobody really went out until Greg Noll went out. And I came from the days with Buzzy Trent and Pat Curran and George Downing and the big heavyweights, Waimea Bay style. And I was 4th in the world in 1960, junior men, Makaha Championship, Duke Hanamoko. Freddie Hemmings was first, Nappy Napoleon and myself. We were the 3 champions in that. That was junior men. I think Rampant Kai was one of the champions then. But those were wonderful days back at Makaha, and we used to go to the country. There was no freeways and stuff in those days, so it took to get to Makaha, it was like a whole day's trip, But it was wonderful days, and we lived in Waikiki. I lived in the jungle. I went to Kaimuki. I was born and raised here, Kaimuki High School, and most of the kids when I went to school were Japanese, so after school I went to the beach, went surfing, so they went to play pool. So it was quite a different world then.
The very first board was foam board, wood board?
Well, no, this is balsa wood foam 9.6 Hobie. Beautiful board, so I wish I still had a few of those. They're worth thousands of dollars. Then I had a beautiful Dewey Weber. If you know Dewey Weber, it's had a beautiful 9.6 Dewey Weber channel nose. And then I finally put a leash on the 9.6. Finally put a leash, and I liked it because But see, in our days, when you lost your board on Makaha, sometimes you had to swim for maybe 45 minutes in very serious water. And then when your board went all the way in, it got caught in the shore break, so your board was up in the beach, and sometimes the shore break alone was 12 feet. So you have to be a waterman. These kids nowadays, they're great surfers, but I'm just wondering, sometimes say you're out at Sunset Beach with 15 feet, your leash broke, you better be a good swimmer, because it's serious business out there. I love Sunset Beach. Makaha was my favorite. Haleiwa was real good too. I love Haleiwa. But our days was Waikiki, and Waikiki in the old days, we had surfers like Rabbit Kai and Conrad and these great surfers, Richard Coho and stuff. These guys were the kings of the beach. Steamboat, I don't know if you know these names, and Mud Warner and Rabbit Kai and Jama. Jama was Rabbit's brother, and these guys were great. We'd surf out Kunas, and Publix is out by the natatorium. Sometimes Publix get 10, 12 feet. A lot of people haven't seen Waikiki that big, because Waikiki, when it gets big, is a tremendous surf. Outside Queens to the left, a place called Kunas, and it's a left slide at Kunas, and it's 8, 10 feet, really great surf. But I loved Ala Moana. Ala Moana was a left, and Ala Moana was just a screaming left. But those are my days, and then they were doing a show called Hawaiian Eye over here, and Troy Donahue couldn't surf, so I became his surfer. I was only 18 years old, and I became his double for surfing. So when you ever saw, not Hawaii 5-0, Hawaiian Eye now, this was Ponce Ponce, Connie Stevens, and stuff like that, and I was his double. And we did a lot of surfing out there. Me and Kui Lee were actually out there in those days and stuff like that. But that's what I was. I came from that world, and it was a wonderful world of surfing. And surfing was just really getting started, because it was balsa wood. It was the long boards were just fading out, and the great Hobies and the Jacobs and the Velzies, those were the ones that were coming in, and really fine boards, fine 9.6. Mostly maybe some 10-footers, but for some reason 9.6 seemed to be the right size, those days. And you'd walk the nose and stuff like that. But in the old days, Waikiki canoes was great surf, but the bottom is all changed now. It's all changed out there. Now it's just kind of fun surfing, kitchen lessons. But canoes, I saw canoes one time 15 feet, and a lot of people haven't seen it like that. It can break from Publix, you can slide into Kunas, and you can actually bail in Queens. It's hard to get across Queens. You get to Queens, you're pretty wipe out inside there, because it becomes a wall. It's a big left. But when Duke Kahanamoku said that he took off from Castles, which is just outside Publix, must have been at least 12 feet. This is a long time ago. He came all the way into canoes, and that's an amazing ride. That's like, what is that, a mile, mile ride. But that's what my life was on the beach, and and I just loved it. I got into the movie business and did a lot of movies, went up to Hollywood and did some things, but my heart was still on the beach and, in the old days, yeah. Well, thank you very much for the interview. Thank you.